pre-meeting order. Any public comment? Seeing none. Not for item. You've got closed session.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the board will be meeting in closed session for a conference with legal counsel, significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. One case. We will not be meeting with the conference with the labor negotiator Rick Hague today.
Okay.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Almighty God, we pray this day for your ever-enduring guidance. We ask you to cloak us in wisdom and fortitude that we may dispense our knowledge and facts intelligently among all humanity of whom we serve. Amen.
Mr. Chairman, the board met in closed session for a conference with legal counsel. The topic was significant exposure to litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9. There was no reportable action.
Agenda approval, additions and regulations. Any from staff? Any from the board?
I would move approval.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. Any public comment? Sir, come back.
Stand up.
Yeah, you have to come in before you take your name for the recording.
My name is Darrell Foster, I live in Lake Forest, and I'm here to just make a couple of observations, comments about the marijuana ordinance that you're going to hear today. Thanks so much for having me here. I'm certainly glad that Mr. Burns is in this capacity. I've read it's the second draft. It's pretty detailed, pretty complete. I have one comment. I have two comments. First one is a brief one. As I read that last night, I was concerned about from the moment there's a possible apparent infraction until it's actually heard or concluded. It seems like a long period of time. Mr. Burns and I talked about that, and that has already been addressed. But being up in that neighborhood, and there's been a report, a valid report, it's been established, and then all the steps that went into being negativity the crops and take off. And in some cases along the way, maybe we've already committed felony crimes. I wanted to point out that there are three communities in Lassen County where pot is grown fairly freely, and they all have heavy timber. That would be where I live, Lake Forest, Westwood, and more sparsely populated area, and fewer trees, still Janesville. And our concern is that if you watch the news stations from Sacramento to Reno or Channel 10 out of Oakland, you see all the time of houses are burning up, just fully engaged in 30 minutes, 5 minutes. We're concerned about some of the activities that are being looked at where we live now. Marijuana being converted into another product that is more potent, creating honey oil. And some of the things that are involved in that are high-powered butane to cook the marijuana. And those are some of the buildings that are catching on fire. Butte County, Sutter County, city of Sonoma. And of course, all the ones that I don't know. And all the other counties that other people know about, where these fires are taking place. I think we have the most unique situation because there are a lot of people out there that are vacant homes. Those are usually purchased as a real estate agent. Apparently, they've sold all 5 of these properties that they've been on in front of them before. Same agent. And it's been trying about it. I said, I don't care. What's the interest? It's easy money for me. So we have a culture that's changing pretty rapidly up there, and we're hoping that things can bring that culture back to what it was back. As I mentioned, there's a lot of mobile homes, a lot of vacant mobile homes, there's a lot of trees, and a lot of people growing for profit, and how many of them are growing for their own personal use. So we're different, and I don't know how you write an ordinance that's going to accommodate every community, but I think it's important that law enforcement already knows this, but I just wanted to think about that consideration, that we stand a huge risk of having major fires. If two trees catch on fire, especially in the summer, how many more will? So some question about indoors. I know talking to a lady from the electric company up there, checking, she went knocking the doors and it discharged. I saw her that day, so she told me the story is fresh, and I told her why I approached her. And she said, well, I went to this door and wanted the dweller to know that we noticed there had been a huge amount of electricity, and wanted to know if somebody was tapping into the electricity. Legitimate question, part of her job, meter reader. And the individual became very suspicious and tried to cover it up. Well, that was one of the houses in question. So what were they doing with all that electricity need in the middle of summer? I'm not sure. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, Nate.
Anybody else wish to speak? Come on, have them take a name.
My name is Ronnie Chandler. Thanks for listening to me this morning. I feel like a kid that came to class not prepared. I haven't seen the ordinance, the draft ordinance, but I just wanted to state we live in a big grow area too. We have a major pot farm on Valley View Lane. We had that windstorm a couple of weeks ago, and at least half, maybe three-quarters of his 6-foot-tall wooden fence is down all around. So the dogs at large have been a real concern. He has pit bulls, which I'm a dog owner, and I board dogs. I don't have any problem with any particular breed, but these are dogs that are made to guard his pot farm, and it is a concern. We have a lot of children in our area. We live in a residential area. That second thing is that last week I commented to Jeff, who is our supervisor for our district, and said our pot grower next door just got his big truck, U-Haul truck and trailer load of stuff, in preparation for planting. So apparently the season is just about upon us, and I hope that we can really hurry with this, because we panic. And I don't know if you can hear, but I have asthma, so when we get 99 plants in our area growing and it's during the harvest season, we can't breathe. All of my family suffers from asthma. We have 4 children on the road, and probably 12 children in our really small community. So it is a big concern for us. I believe in medical marijuana. I believe that people that are need it, definitely need it. But all of us that have to be subjected to all the crap that comes with it, we shouldn't have to live like that. We live in our area, and our children have the same constitutional rights as everybody else. They're not allowed to walk down our street because of the traffic from the pot growers and all the traffic that they bring in, and the guard dogs. It's a very big concern with us. We ride out on horseback, and the dogs come after us on horseback. Well, I have concealed weapon, and I will shoot one, and I've warned them of that. But it's not even that. We shouldn't have to face that every time we leave our property. And I can't think of anything else. But I appreciate your time and concern. And I try to encourage everybody to come, because you could have a pot grower that lives in next door to you. And believe me, 3 years ago, our life changed out there. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak now? Mr. Spencer?
Is this public comment?
This is public comment we're right now.
This board, and this is the second time I brought this to the board, approved a $350,000 loan to Mitch on March 24th. Turns out, after further public records search, that $12,000 was spent for a credit report, or almost $13,000 was spent for a credit report prior to the money being dispersed. At the time of this loan, your loan, Medici Logging had an outstanding $1 million loan with the Bank of Commerce, which we're having a little trouble getting the credit report, but we know it exists and we know how much you spent on it. They had $1 million loan outstanding. You approved the $350,000 with the Bank of Commerce, and you voted to approve this loan anyway. Medici made 3 payments only on this loan from July to September of last year, totaling about $19,000. And then they closed their doors in November. I got a call from one of the employees telling me that Medici let everybody go. So from defaulting on the loan in September or October to December, this issue was never brought before the board or the public, for that matter. This is our money. We're not going to be reimbursed or have to pay back to the state of California. This is our money that is gone and has become a loss for the people. What is disturbing is that you knew about this loan from March 24th till today, and this has never once been on an agenda. We asked for this, County Health asked for this to be on agenda, you ignored it, and I understand why. It's embarrassing what you did. We have all the bankruptcy documents, and I'm sure the auditor, Mr. Egan, should have all the bankruptcy documents. It's public record. So this isn't a closed session agenda item. This should be made public. The public should know that we lost $350,000. And it needs to be agendized as soon as possible and fully disclosed. There's nothing in here that's a closed session. So they're all public documents. And you need to be accountable to the public for why you did this, knowing how in debt Medici Logging was in, and they even defaulted on the $1 million loan. They got $800,000 out of Bank of Commerce. And then a few months later they got $350,000, which they defaulted on all of it. And there's no way to get it back. So you need to put this on the agenda as soon as possible. You need to account for your actions. And I'm asking you again for the second time to bring this to the public in a public forum.
Anybody else wish to speak to close comment? Seeing none, we'll move on. Okay, unagenda item reports by board members. Tom, you want to lead those?
Attending the Association of Defense Community meeting this weekend. Looking into public-private partnerships. There's been some new legislation that's passed that could help Lassen County businesses, and we'll be researching that.
You said it's this weekend or what?
This weekend, coming up, yeah.
Good enough? Jeff? Karen?
Yeah, I went to the transportation meeting yesterday. And also. Anyway, we did the vehicular wayfinding sign role last week. He did a very nice little report. You saw it, and we'll pass it to you guys on the wayfinding signs. Basically, for the start of Susanville, it's going to maybe go out to the surrounding communities here later on. That's just kind of looking at right now at Susanville. They are going to do an Eagle Lake run with the buses. It's going to start Memorial Day weekend and go through Labor Day. It'll be a Saturday only run, but they're going to reestablish that. As far as the unmet needs, the one place that we're decided to look at potentially is the mental health building up here off Hospital Lane, and for the people going to use that, because they're dropping off right out the bottom of the hill now, so we're looking at maybe going up there on top. And that's going to plan time with the new pool location as well. So if the pool gets built, it'll help be a stop for that. And that was basically the gist of it.
Good enough?
I think that's all I got.
Okay. We'll move on to information consent calendar. Anything anybody wishes to say? Mr. Spencer?
I'd like 2, 6, and 7 pulled.
2, 6, and 7. Any board members, staff, have anything you want to do? Seeing none, got a motion to accept all but 2, 6, and 7.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Oh, sorry.
Got a motion and a second, any discussion? Take a vote. Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no, ayes have it. Okay, we're going to G2, Mr. Spencer.
The personnel report, that's the attachment to agenda item 2, states that the new hires in administration was Dwayne Shaw. Did you say who that is? Dwayne Shaw.
Tony Shaw.
Tony Shaw.
This memo was sent to Richard Egan, thus putting it on the agenda incorrectly, on purpose. What was the purpose of not putting his real name on?
Mr. Shaw.
So we call him Tony?
He's the only name I know.
That's all I think.
Yeah. Yep.
My name's Robert, but people call me Rob.
I call you something else.
I know.
The contract says Tony Shaw, so we're going to call him, I mean, I've been addressing him as Tony the few times I've been able to find him. I called him Tony. Is that incorrect?
He goes by Tony frequently.
Frequently?
His name is Dwayne Anthony Shaw. His father is Dwayne also. And as a kid, I guess what he shared with me a long time ago, that he became Tony to differentiate him from his father. So his formal real name is Dwayne Anthony Shaw.
If they have the right name on here, that's all that matters.
Yeah, his employment name, in terms of
Tony Shaw.
when he gets his W-2 issued to Dwayne Anthony, but the fact that he goes by Tony is his
I
preference.
had his payroll records and they say Tony Shaw. So, we could just maybe stay on the same page as far as releasing information like this, so the public maybe would understand that there aren't different people here. It's a small housekeeping item.
Any more comments on that one? If not, we'll go to number 6, again, Mr. Spencer. Good idea, thank you. Motion. Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no, ayes have it. Now we'll go to D6, County Commercial Board. Mr. Spencer, what do you?
Yeah, might as well step different in this one. The February 10th minutes. The board added an emergency item, H7, to the agenda on February 10th. And this basically verifies my objection that we were in public comment when you took a vote on the emergency item. There's no reference to your action in public. If you look down on page 2 on public comment of the minutes, there's no reference to agenda item H7. So either you violated the Brown Act by voting in public comment, which is illegal, or you need to change and make the public comment area where you took the vote classify it as taking discussion on H7, because right now, you're in violation of the Brown Act by taking an action in public comment. And I questioned Mr. Pyle, your action to take, because we were still in public comment, before and after public comment. In between, you took action on the emergency, so you need to alter or correct the minutes to show that instead of public comment, the agenda item is H7. Otherwise, you're in violation.
So I think you're correct to think that was done on agenda approval.
Yeah.
That was my recollection, is
It's
that,
on page 1 down here.
that under the agenda approval section of the agenda, we added item H7.
You did add H7, but you took action as a public comment,
didn't.
and it's not referenced
No, we
in
did
public
not.
comment.
No, we did not. It is my recollection, if I'm not forgetting, and I could be, you came in late that day, and you were misinformed. You thought we were on public comment, and this was done before you even got here.
No, I've listened to the audio and I've also watched the video,
Okay.
and it needs to be corrected because it clearly says on the minutes, public comment, and then you take a vote below that. So I'm just asking that you correct the minutes to say, instead of public comment there, agenda item H7. Otherwise, you're in violation.
It says public comment is the heading, and then down below that is public comment.
And you took a vote on,
We took the vote before public comment.
If I might be able to
that's not the
clarify
way
this,
you,
the way I remember it occurred is under the agenda additions or deletions, we added item H7. Then we had public comment, then we took up H7, somewhat out of
Yeah,
order.
when Eric was coming to the podium, Bob stated we're going to H7 right then and there, between Eric and, I believe it was,
Supervisor, it doesn't reflect that in the minutes.
It's a
doesn't.
formatting issue. This line
Right.
right here should be out, extended out to this point. This was one item, this was a totally separate item.
Right.
So it's a formatting issue.
It needs to reflect that you're not in violation of the Brown Act. It needs to reflect that you're taking up an agenda
Jim is
H7.
correct. I remember we spoke about it so Eric could leave right after public comment. I think you came in late and you didn't hear that conversation, but I think you're right, it is need to be maybe made clear.
You know, it's a formatting issue. And just the fact that there is the wrong indentation here does not constitute a Brown Act violation.
Well, when you view the audio and you listen to when you listen to the audio and view the video, it absolutely doesn't reflect
When
this.
you look at the formatting here, you got public comment, then you have 1, and then you have 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which is the 6 items presented by public comment. If this was an item that was taken up under public comment, it would have a 7 in front of it, which it does not. So this paragraph, this piece here is clearly separate, which is the H7 item, is clearly separate from what was happening with public comment.
So that just means, that's a formatting change I'm asking you to make, is make that
If I could
H7.
suggest that perhaps the board add a heading of Office of Emergency Services to the left of the emergency services item, I think that would clarify that it's not part of public comment and that it's a separate item.
That would be so.
We're trying to make a motion to that effect, to approve the minutes with that change.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Motion. Any more discussion?
I'm not clear on you're making a motion on what you said?
We're adding that to the official agenda. You just submit it. Okay now? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Looking no, ayes have it. State aid expenditure, you have another item. Number 7.
On 7, you're doing a title change. And 9 times out of 10, a title change is only done for a pay raise. That's just been my experience in public office. Was there a pay change when the title was changed? Was there a pay raise?
Ms. Amber, would you answer that?
Sure.
No.
Actually, we're not proposing a pay increase with this. It's a title change because of a few reasons. Number one, for years we've called all of our nurses public health nurses, and in fact, it's a violation of the Business and Professions Code to call the ones who don't have a bachelor's degree and a public health certificate a public health nurse. So we're correcting that. The other thing is that we are having a hard time recruiting nurses, even with the AA level, to come and do these jobs. So not all public health functions require a public health nurse to do them. So we are opening that job title up by changing it into a public health program coordinator position. So we're hoping to get not only AA level nurses to apply, but also people who have a bachelor's degree in some health or education related field, so that we have more candidates to choose from and can fill our positions and conduct our programs. But there's no pay increase proposed at this time.
What is
And
the,
as far as I know, we're not planning one for the future.
normally when you do a title change, we see the pay rate. The pay rate isn't on here. Do you happen to know what the pay rate is?
It's actually on the job description,
It's-
the range
it's,
24.
24?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Ernie,
I have a question, Melody.
Yes.
On the second page, under the heading Essential Duties and Responsibilities, it says include the following, then in parentheses, it says all duties may not be performed by all incumbents. What does that mean?
Well, for instance, if we have them in a public health function that does actually require a nurse, a registered nurse, then we'd have to put a nurse in that job. But it's a job duty that a person who is not a registered nurse would not be required to do as part of their job. So in public health, there are a lot of functions. We have emergency preparedness, Christy's here today. We have communicable disease control. We have SNAP education, which is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program education. Help me out, Joanna. What else have we got? There's a variety of programs. There's maternal, child, and adolescent health program, the child health and disability prevention program. So there are lots of programs, and we're getting tobacco ed back. So these are programs that are unique, and so generally one of these candidates or a new hire would be assigned to that position. That would be their job. So some of them may require a nurse, and we would make sure a nurse had those functions in their job assignment. And then if they weren't a nurse, but they were an educator, they would be more apt to have things like the tobacco ed or the SNAP ed project.
okay.
Does that answer your question?
Kind of, sort of.
So basically, it's a list of possible duties that anyone in this position might be asked to do, but they wouldn't necessarily be asked to do all of them, depending on what their assignment was.
Oh, okay. There you go. Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
It's a fancy way for them to say duty existence.
Okay, we got a motion to approve. Second.
Second.
Motion and second. Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who know it, ayes have it. Okay, we'll move on to H1, I guess. Minutes of September 23rd and February 24th and March 3rd.
There are proposed minutes, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, and prior to proceeding in that fashion, I would like to make a remark to the board because I know this issue's come up once before. The issue that's been presented once before, and I think, is that somehow and I'm not even sure I can characterize the criticism correctly, so I'm not going to try. But what I wanted to do was to point out that ordinance number 513 adopted by Lassen County in 1993 removed the position of recorder from being consolidated with that of the auditor and posted it or consolidated it with that of the county clerk, thereby establishing the county clerk recorder position. That's ordinance 513, correctly reflected in our ordinance list and published online. Likewise, in 2007, even before that, but more recently revisited in 2007, this board, through adoption of 531 and 531A ordinance numbers, also assigned the clerk of the board duties, which are specifically described in the California Government Code,
to the county clerk/recorder. And those are also reflected in the county ordinance list. And I know that's been an issue that's been presented to this board before, and the contention that there's somehow some fake position that's being maintained by the county. And I wanted to be sure to respond to you that that's in fact not the case, and I wanted to provide the specific ordinance references. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. Questions, Mrs. Spencer? You come to the podium and say your name.
Sure. Addie Spencer, countyhealth.com. Mr. Burns is conveniently making up his own facts. I talked to the FBPC, Terry, yesterday, and she said that